and who is strong enough, confident enough and fearless enough to speak up for the people in the Humberside police area. No one better, in my view, than John. In fact, I think the government should be giving him a medal, because if it wasn't for John standing, no one would have known that there was an election tomorrow. But there is, and it's an important election. Here we are lucky enough to have a candidate like John, and I hope that as many people as possible turn out to vote for John Prescott tomorrow, because I think he'll do a tremendous job. Ladies and gentlemen, John Prescott.
Thank you, Alan. Delighted that Karl and Diana are here. We've got three great MPs now a Lord, so you can all bow before I make my speech. Well, this election is a very important election. It's not just about the police. That's important enough in itself. It's about a result going to take place tomorrow in which not 1,000 survey, but about 30 million people will be voting, which is the first referendum on this government on all its policies since 2010. Now that's what it's got to be, a referendum, come out and vote. So I'm here to talk a bit about the police, but I want to talk about this government's incompetency in reducing resources, reducing public service, not only in the police, in the health service, in the local government, in the education. It's the same principle. Reduce the resources, create redundancies, and then say you've got a better policy. Well, the one thing's clear about crime and police is that when a Labour government brought it in, and Alan was one of the Home Secretaries, we brought in a policy that said tough on crime and tough on the causes of crime. That reduces crime by 40% in every area of England and Wales. Sounds to me like a successful policy. But if you've got something now where the Tories are now saying we're going to reduce the resources by 20%, we're going to get rid of 15,000 people, what do you think is going to happen? Crime's going to go up. And then what happens? They blame the police commission, right? He's the one that's not done it, and they call it localism. They're doing the same for the local authority. They cut their resources, make people redundant, and tell them it's your decision, so they're already trying to blame the local authority. We've done also Prezza on the health service, exactly the same. Reduce the nurses and doctors, begin to reduce their resources, begin to close down facilities, and then you've got a health service that is not doing it. Now you say to yourself, what are they trying to do? They want to do a number of things. One, reduce labour. Two, reduce resources. Don't tax the millionaire, take it by cutting the resources in wealth and in public service. They also want to do something else. They want to reduce the wages, and that's now they bring in the concept of a regional wage. So if you live in the north, you get less, but you're better off in the south if you get more. But even in the south, they're facing cutting in their resources. So what we've got is a common policy of Tory values right through our main public service, in the police, in the health, in the education, and in the local authority. So this vote tomorrow is about that. Do we agree with that policy? No, of course we don't. Is it anti-Labour's policy? Just look at our 10 years. Whether on the police reducing crime, whether building new hospitals in the hospital, and damn, you can only walk round all and look at the actual schools that we built on education. That is the difference between this government and that. Well, you can say to yourself now, well, what is the alternative here? Well, I don't know whether you've looked at that bunch of people offering them as ourselves as an alternative. I'll be nice with them as best I can. But you know, we've got a Tory one, Mr. Grove. Now, I know I'm not the favourite of the press. I know I was the one because I actually sued the Met Police. Pretty corrupt outfit, I'm about to tell you, as the courts proved it. And the press. Murdoch press. Now, I don't want you to believe for a second that I buy the Sun, but I had to buy it this morning. Whoever believes in the ruddy sun, right? And they've come out by Mr. Grove as the Tory candidate. And what do they say? I want to stop thieves, thugs, and two jags. You put thieves and thugs together with me? No, I know I had a bit of problem in Wales on one occasion, but that was exchanging of view. I said to Tony Blair, he said, what are you doing? I said, you told us to connect with the electorate, so I did. But look, the Sun. Can you imagine cut crime? Half its editorial board is already in the courts. The others have been tapping the phones. The others have been actually paying the police for information. And as a story only last week shows, that one of the papers was paying money to investigate me in the police computer for my criminal record. They must have been shocked I hadn't got a criminal record. Now that's the press. If they want to cut crime, close the bloody Sun down. Because they're committing the crime, they're bribing the police, they're actually tapping the telephones, and they were in Liverpool, do you remember? And it's not just the Met area. When it's the Yorkshire police and that terrible tragedy at Hillsbury, it was the Sun that came out for the illegal. They didn't think it was illegal, but who were the ones that supported it? That's why they don't buy the Sun in Liverpool. And they've... Come here and say something. Oh, hey, I'm going to do something about you lads. We've got to do something. Look, this is a case with a problem, Rabbit.
Please don't go. Fuck off.
Okay. Well, leave him. Leave him alone. He's one of the problems I've got to deal with. Right. Okay. Now this is a good example of what we got to do about drink on the streets. Having a go at people when they want to come out in the town. I got to give you notice. You better think about me, because I'm going to come looking for you guys. They want somebody to carry out to keep it a safe community. And I think you've just seen now some of those examples. So, but he's been encouraging. And by the way, I never paid him to come. I didn't, honestly. But he was great, wasn't he? Can he come back? No, he's not going to come back. Oh, he's having a fight down the street with that girl, look. Right. Next week he won't do that. I'll be around. Look at that, though. Look at that. Isn't that part of the problem?
Absolutely.
Well, I would say I'm gonna carry out the kind of problems that the people are concerned with. So you've got this. The other candidate is a man called UKIP, Mr. Bloom, right? Mr. Bloom has actually announced he wants to get rid of speed cameras. I don't know any other politician who has actually advocated the killing of constituents in order to make this point, right? Mr. Bloom wants to get rid of speed cameras. When I came into power, there were 42,000 people were actually killed on the roads. It's now 22,000. Isn't our right Labour policy that we stop the killing of our kids and people due to drink and speed driving? That's another important area. Look, I think you can get from me, I don't need to say much more. We've had the problem right in the middle here. We're going to be dealing with that. I hope you'll vote for me. But what I'm saying to you today, yes, it is about stopping the cuts. Cut crime, not cops. That's the theme. Get in, tough on causes of crime, tough on crime, tough on the causes of crime. That's where I'm standing. But I want you to know today, the vote tomorrow isn't just about John Prescott who you select. It's about where they are against the cuts in the hospitals, against the cuts in the local authority, against the cuts in the police, against the cuts in education. Throwing them out of work, reducing public service. And why do they want to do that? Because they want to privatise the service. Why is it in Lincolnshire? It's already privatised. Mrs May is advocating more privatisation. This is public service. People providing services for us publicly. Serving for public service, not profit. That's where my position is. I hope you'll give us support. But at the end of the day, make no clear mistake about it. I know what I know. And you were very good to elect me for a long time. But this isn't just Hull. It's all Humberside. This is a marginal Tory seat. And if we're to win it, and with a two-vote system, right, if we're to win it, you've got to get every possible vote out. So do think it's important. I think you'll hope to come and actually support Labour. And in that doing, strike your first vote for me. Then it's coming the local authorities. Then it's the Europe elections. And then in 2015, the election of a Labour government. It's step by step by step. That first step is tomorrow, so get them out and show them more people want to come out, play the democratic process, and we're giving them an opportunity. Vote for those Labour values, the values you've always associated with us, which they're dismantling. Public service, not private service. Thanks very much. Now.
indeed, John. I think we've just seen a good example why John should be the Police and Crime Commissioner, the first Police and Crime Commissioner for Humberside. He served the constituents of Hull East for I think 40 years, John, actually. So he's got a great deal of experience in representing people. So look, John's right, absolutely. What we need to do tomorrow is make this a referendum on the Tory government. The first chance we've got, actually, to say what we think of this coalition government. We need to get out there and vote Labour tomorrow and protect the police service, because if we don't get John as the PCC after Thursday, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that G4S or Serco or another private sector private company will be running our police force. So listen, I think that's enough from me. Thanks very much indeed for people coming round and gathering, and just vote for John Prescott on Thursday.
And I'd just like to reiterate what John said. Today, the announcement is that my constituency, Hull North, has 50 people chasing every job vacancy. That's the top in the country, and that's because of the coalition government. So please get out tomorrow and vote Labour, and make sure we send a very clear message from Hull that we don't like what this government's doing and we want them out, and make sure that John's our PCC candidate elected on Thursday and can really go and make the case for Humberside with Theresa May, because if anyone can, it's John. So please vote Prescott.
Well, thanks very much. Don't forget, turn out, hail, rain, whatever it is, we need your vote, and I hope you'll be there. Thanks very much for coming today.